Hello friends, in this video we are going to be discuss about how to run Playwright test in headless and headed mode. So after this video you will get clear understanding of difference between headless and headed mode. First I will cover the theoretical part of difference between of this two level of mode. Then I will go to inside the VS Code how we can do the execution in headless and headed mode. First, we have to cover the difference between headless mode and headed mode. What is headless mode? So, headless mode is nothing but when you will execute the test case, the driver does not launch any browser. It means you do not find any browser. So, simply the browser has run in the background. Your eye cannot catch that. This is the headless mode. Headed mode. When you will run the test case, the driver going to be launch the browser. Inside browser, you can able to watch what are the actions going to be performed. So this is the visibility of UI in the browser. This is the headed mode. With the head, you can able to find the person clearly. Headless mode, without head, you do not find the person. That is the simple example I try to cover here. Okay. Once you have to install the Playwright default behavior is headless mode, which means the browser will run in the background without visible of UI, which means once you have to create the test case, when you are trying to execute the test case. So in that case, you have to take as an example. You have to write the test case for the login functionality. Enter the username, enter the password, click on sign in button. So these are the actions you are going to be performed in application, right? For this 3 steps you have to return the code. So when you are try to execute the test case, the browser has launched. There we can see enter the text and click on the sign in button. You will find the home page, right? So this is the behavior we have seen in the Selenium and Cypress, different tool, right? But in Playwright there is a different thing. There are 2 ways you can able to execute. Either you can able to see browser or else you do not find the browser. Already I told you the behavior. The browser runs in the background without visible UI. In the headed mode, you can find the browser when you are executing the test cases. Make it clear. This is the very important point. Okay. What is the meaning of this line? Headless true and headless false. So this I will cover in the coding part. That time will be get it understand. Okay. So GUI, no graphical interface, which means we do not find any browser, correct? It will be run in the background. In that case, does not require any graphical interface. When we are executing in headed mode, it is required graphical interface because we have seen the browser. We are coming to the third point, which is server friendly. So already I told you what is the benefit of headless mode. So this is the main reason. When you are executing in the CI/CD pipeline, that time does not require to see the visual displays. Correct, which means does not require any browser launched whether actions is performed or not. We do not watch anything, right? In that case, visual display it is unnecessary. So in that case, the headless mode specifically very useful for the CI/CD pipeline execution. So next is speed. So comparatively in headed mode, it will be launching the browser. Sometimes it will be slow our execution, right? Due to rendering. But here in the headless mode, does not launch any browser. In that case, the execution speed is very good fast. It will be reduced the overhead. Next is system resources. In headless mode, there is lower resource consumption, but in headed mode, higher resource consumption. Use cases. So when we are working with use cases, the automated testing, web scraping, we can able to achieve in the headless mode. But in headed mode, we can able to find the debugging point of view when we are working the complex UI testing. So whether the button has clicked or not, the drop down has been selected or not, we can easily identify and we have to debug what actions we are going to be performed, whether the actions we can able to find or not. Look like the asset conditions. So what we are expecting, the actual result we can able to watch while the running mode. The debugging. So the headless mode, the debugging is limited. This is the major disadvantages here, because when you have seen the browser, all the performing actions we can easily identify. We have to fix our script. And also in the headed mode, it is very useful for troubleshooting issues and visual validations. So in headless mode it is not possible, but in headed mode it is very possible. When the interviewer asking the questions, what is difference between headless mode and headed mode? The first point you have to cover the browser section. The second point is the interviewer will ask you what is the benefit of using headless mode. You can cover this point. It is very useful for CI/CD pipeline execution. So now we are coming to the practical session. So how we can do the running testers in headed mode? So open the VS Code here. So already I have to done the Playwright test in this sample project. Here you can see test example spec tester. So once you have to install the Playwright, you will see this is the default 2 test cases has generated under test folder. Okay, so here we can find playwright.config.ts. Okay, once you have to done the installation of the Playwright, you will be get this file. Open this one. Here you can see 3 different browser I have configured in this project, which is Chromium, Firefox, WebKit. Now I didn't set up anything, which is you have to remember this point, headless true or headless false. Still I'm not coming to this point, this VS Code. So once I done Playwright test, simply I'm going to be execute this 2 test cases. How we can do that? Click on terminal, new terminal. So already I told you, once you install the Playwright will behave the default mode is headless mode. Make it remember this one. This also interview will ask you the questions. So now we are going to be execute our test cases. So what is the command? npx playwright test. So now you can see npx playwright space test. This is the basic command. We have to execute all this test cases which is available under test folder. Okay, press enter. So running 6 tests using 6 workers, which means we have 3 browser, right? So in the 3 browser, 2 cases going to be executed. That's the reason we have seen the total count is 6. So if you want, I will show you the report here. You can use this command, which is npx playwright show -report. Press enter. You can see the first 2 test cases has executed in Chromium. Again the same 2 test cases has executed in Firefox. Again the same 2 test cases executed in WebKit. So total 6. So go back to VS Code here. So under config.ts file we can see 3 different browsers, Chromium, Firefox, WebKit. If you want to execute any additional devices, any mobile devices or any another browser which is Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome, you can enable this one. It will be execute. Okay. As of now, I have keep it only 3 browser. Once you have to install any specific browser, it will be enable everything. Fine. So now you can see whenever I try to execute this 2 test cases, you do not find any browser. It will be run in the headless mode. Okay, now I'm going to be execute in headed mode. How I can do that? Open this playwright.config.ts file. Okay, here this is the file. Scroll down. Here you can find use, right? Inside use object you can give it the command headless : false, comma. Save it. Here see the headless true. This is the default behavior. You don't want define this headless true, because if you remove this headless false, automatically the test case will execute in headless mode. If in case you will be updated as a false, then the script will executed in headed mode. In that case you will be see the browser. I will show you the both of things. So open VS Code here. Now I have to added this line which is headless false, which means headed mode. Now what I will do, so here control C it will be quit. npx playwright test space --- headed. So this is the command you have to use if you want to execute it in headed mode. The headed mode will launch the browser. Now press enter. You can see right, 3 different browser has launched successfully. Before, when we have to run the cases using headless mode, we do not find any browser, correct? So this is the difference between of headless and headed mode. So now how to try to execute without headed word. Let's see what will happen. Now you can see npx playwright test. So if I press enter, it will be launch the browser. See, so there are 2 ways. You can mention -headed it will be execute in headed mode. Without headed also it will be executed in headed mode. So once you will be update the headless false. Okay, so now I don't want to execute any headed mode. In that case I have to update as a true. Now press enter. You can see now it will be executed in headless mode. So once you have to update it true, it will be run in headless mode. You do not find any browser. Go back to here. So if you update headless true false, based on that it will be behavior headed mode and headless mode. So I hope this video will give you brief about what is headless mode, what is headed mode. You will be practiced by yourself. Thank you.